Hello and welcome to another video on Modern Pascal. And if you've been programming for at least 6 months, I would say that you would have committed at least one of the sins listed here on the screen. And perhaps the worst part is that Delphi or Lazarus allows us to do this, or has enabled this to happen. So what we're going to look at are 5 architectural sins that could be slowly destroying your code base and what you could do to fix these. So the first one we're going to look at here is the forms being auto-created. If you haven't played with any of the settings, either in the project, odds on your forms will be set up to be auto-created. What does this mean? Well, whenever you form into your project, you're going to get a line like this in your project source. What will happen then is that before the application can run, it has to create each of these forms. So that will slow down the startup of your program. More so if your forms are doing something like connecting to a database, retrieving information or data from said database, which makes things a lot worse. So the way that we can make our program start faster would be to go into our project options here. And under the application forms, you can see here it tells us what's the main form and what forms do we want to auto create. And we can turn that one off and take that one out as well. Save that, and then only our main form will now be created. So basically forms 2 and 3 will not be auto created. And if they were going to be doing anything database oriented, well, that's not going to happen until we go into them. The other setting that you can also look at is under the tools options and the IDE, not the IDE, in the form designer, you can turn off the setting to auto create forms and data modules. That way, when you do create another form or a data module, it will not automatically add it into the project source. So the next one is a sin of what I'm going to call dragging in the world, where a main form creates a child form, and that child form then uses the main form, which essentially means it's more difficult to be able to just test, let's say, that unit on itself separately from the entire application. Why? Because as soon as you drag in this particular unit here, which is our main form, then you would have to include everything else which this form wants to use in some capacity. And in our case here, what we're going to do is that when the user just clicks on the button, it's going to update the caption on the label in the form to be this. So to demonstrate that here, and let's change that to 7. So look at the label 1 here. When you click on button 1, A, B, C, D, E, F, G comes onto the main form. You might do something like that, could be a status bar in the main application. It might be wanting to do some sort of refresh somewhere, So the way around this would be to use some sort of event handler. So you can craft your event handler here to say something like So here now, with that sort of change, you've removed, or you've decoupled the child form from the main form, but the update can still happen there. Now this next one here is where we go back to our main form here. Let's just throw a button on here, and what can happen is, if we are maybe say prototyping our application, we've got our button. This could have been, let's say, settings. This one here might be reload, and this one here might be let's call it recalibrate. And immediately we can start putting our code into the on-click event handler, and boom, we've got our program running and everyone's happy. Until you get asked to, well, that's all wonderful, but now can you make it into a web module, or could you now run that on an Android? So really what we want to be able to do here is to, let's say, move all of this code here into a controller or a model, so that we don't have a huge main unit which does everything. Let the form be the form or the view, and everything else gets put somewhere else so that it can be reused. Now the next sin is where a string list becomes used to solve every data structure problem, whether it's a dictionary, a stack, a queue. While it can be used in all of those ways, it may not be the most efficient way of doing something. Also, just as a by the by, a string list is also not thread safe. And typically what you'll then, if you did want to have, let's say, a thread safe list, for instance, you would have to add some of that code in yourself. Similarly, if you did want to use a string list but make it faster, then even a hashed string list would be better than a plain string list. Talking about a queue, if you can imagine, say, having to, let's say with a queue, the first item that goes in is the first item that gets removed. A queue-like function would be mylist.getString0, and then mylist.delete. So this is what a function might look like if we were to have a dequeue or remove from a queue type function or method in a class. Now, when we want to delete that first item from the list, what's going to happen then is that we have to then move every element that's after that back one into the position. It's not, in this particular instance here, it's not the most efficient structure to use. So rather than using a string list as a means to create a clue, perhaps to use something from the generics collection would be a better choice there. So the last sin that we're going to look at here is global variables, and I have seen this in a few applications where admittedly one of those was a structure which had a huge number of settings, but would have included things like date formats and tax rates, etc. But where you have one unit here which has all of these, well, first of all, I will say that having a whole stack of global variables not thread safe. And I have worked with some applications where there have been global variables and things weren't done in such a way that the right, let's say the right values were being used here. Similarly, if you have something like this here where I've got a tax rate, you might think that it's going to be using the one in this unit here, but I've also got the tax rate being declared as a declaration within this class. So rather than the global variable being updated here, it's going to be updating this one. If we were to come back to here, then we look at the new tax rate, well, it's still going to be the old value here. So to demonstrate that, when the main form here gets created, our tax rate will be 10. We go into the form, the value in the edit field is the new tax rate, inverted commas, and that's going to go into there. We had that update from it in our previous sin, and let's go back, comes back into here. We'll click on that button. So let's see it. So that is our current rate. We go into here, we set our rate to 34. Just click button 1, that will now set our new rate, and our value got updated there. Close that down. Click on this button here again, and it's still 10. Why? We thought we were doing modifying a global, but we weren't. Global variables are an easy way to share information, but they are also dangerous. Also, depending upon what's in your global variables, again, you may have to be, including, if your global variables may include a database connection or needed a live connection, well, that's something else as well. So the question then is, how would you fix up using a global variable? How do you fix up these? Perhaps the answer is don't. Use them in the first place. Maybe what you could do is to have a record structure of the things which could be loaded in somewhere, and then you pass that around your application rather than having them statically defined somewhere, or at worst case, wrap them up in a special configuration unit that can be used from elsewhere. But most importantly, if they need to be thread safe, make sure they are as well. So are there things that I've missed here? Perhaps. So to round off this video, here are some sins which I have encountered in my lifetime as a Delphi programmer. And if you were to fix up these ones, you'll have an application that is a faster, at least a startup, easier to test, and won't fall apart. And if this video has perhaps saved you from a debugging nightmare, then smack that subscribe button, and happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye.